Hey there, folks! Welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into a topic that might surprise you. 11 reasons people are not moving to Texas. Yep, you heard that right. Texas is known for its hospitality, barbecue, and cowboy culture, but it's not the perfect fit for everyone. So if you're considering a move or just curious about the Lone Star State, you're in the right place. So grab a snack and let's get into it. Let's kick things off with number 11. Texans love their football a lot. In Texas, high school football isn't just a sport. It's practically a religion. Friday nights are a big deal, with entire towns coming together to cheer on their teams. The fervor can bewilder those from places where high school sports aren't taken quite as seriously. You might find the local high school team has a better following than some professional teams. If you're not prepared to cheer on the local team like it's the Super Bowl, you might feel a bit out of place. Remember, it's not just a game. It's a way of life. Moving on to number 10. Unconventional wildlife encounters. In Texas, you might run into alligators, snakes, or even feral hogs. While some people find this thrilling, others find it downright terrifying. Imagine going for a morning jog and suddenly running into a family of wild hogs. It's a bit much for some. If you're not a fan of critters roaming in your backyard, you might want to think twice before packing up your belongings. And if you do move here, keep an eye on your pets. They might just become dinner. Now, let's explore number 9. Limited public services. In some rural areas, you might find a lack of access to public services like libraries, public transport, and recreational facilities. If you're someone who relies on these services for daily living, moving to a more remote area in Texas could leave you feeling isolated. It's like living in a postcard without the amenities. Sure, the scenery is beautiful, but if you have to drive an hour just to find a grocery store, it might not feel like the best move. Next up, we have number 8, the cost of living in urban areas. While Texas has a reputation for being affordable, places like Austin and Dallas have seen housing prices soar in recent years. What used to be considered a steal is now putting a serious dent in your bank account. If you're moving with the hopes of snagging a deal, you might be in for a rude awakening. The days of $200,000 homes in Austin are becoming a thing of the past, with many newcomers now facing prices closer to $500,000. Ouch. So if your budget is tight, you may want to look at more affordable areas outside the big cities. Coming in at number 7, weather extremes. Texas weather can go from scorching summers to unpredictable storms in a heartbeat. One minute you're sweating in the heat, and the next, you're caught in a torrential downpour. And don't even get me started on the occasional winter weather. Ever heard of snow in Texas? It happens. And it's a wild ride. If you prefer a more temperate climate, you might want to consider somewhere else, like, say, anywhere but Texas. Just remember, when the weather forecaster says, prepare for anything, they really mean it here. Now, let's dig into number 6. The Tex-Mex versus Mexican food debate. In Texas, this rivalry is as serious as college football. Some folks get quite heated about what counts as real Mexican food versus Tex-Mex. Picture this. Someone orders nachos, and suddenly, you're in the middle of a passionate discussion about the authenticity of each ingredient. If you're a food enthusiast who thrives on authenticity, you might find the endless debates about queso and tacos a bit exhausting. Just know that you might need to choose a side if you're heading out for dinner. Let's shift gears and talk about number 5, aggressive drivers. If you've ever been caught in traffic in a Texas city, you know what I mean. Texas cities often rank high for road rage incidents and aggressive driving. The stereotype is that everyone drives like they're in a NASCAR race. And it's not just the speed, it's the honking, weaving, and general chaos on the roads. If you're not ready for a little adrenaline rush on your daily commute, you might want to think twice before moving to Texas. Buckle up because this is not a leisurely Sunday drive. Next, let's address number 4, gun culture. Texas is well known for having some of the loosest gun laws in the US. For some, this is a point of pride, with many Texans exercising their Second Amendment rights enthusiastically. But for others, it can be a deal breaker. If you're moving from a place with stricter gun regulations, the abundance of firearms and open carry laws might feel a bit overwhelming. Just imagine walking into a grocery store and seeing someone with a holstered 6-shooter. Definitely not your everyday experience. If you're not ready for that level of gun culture, you might want to think twice before packing your bags. Now, let's talk about number 3, cowboy culture exaggeration. Texas has a rich cowboy heritage, but not every Texan rides a horse to work or wears a 10-gallon hat. Many are city dwellers living urban lifestyles, sipping lattes instead of cowboy coffee. If you're picturing yourself in a Western movie, you might be disappointed to find that most Texans are more likely to be found in coffee shops than cattle drives. While cowboy culture is celebrated, it doesn't define every Texan. So if you can't see yourself in chaps and spurs, don't worry. There are plenty of folks in boots and dress shoes too. Next up is number 2, roadkill cuisine. Yes, you heard me. In some rural parts of Texas, it's not uncommon for folks to whip up a meal from roadkill. I know. You might be cringing right now, and I don't blame you, but for some, it's seen as resourceful, like taking waste not, want not to a whole new level. While many find the idea of a roadkill casserole a bit off-putting, others pride themselves on their cooking skills using what nature provides. If you're someone who prefers your meat from the grocery store rather than the roadside, this might give you pause about moving to Texas. Imagine telling your friends, "Oh, I had some deer stew for dinner last night. I found it on the highway." And finally, the number 1 reason people are not moving to Texas: high property taxes. Now, you might have heard that Texas doesn't have a state income tax. Sounds great, right? But hold on. They make up for it with property taxes that can make your wallet scream. Texas ranks among the states with the highest property tax rates, averaging around 1.8%. This means that if you're eyeing a charming house in Austin, just be prepared to cough up more than a few pennies for those property taxes. It's like paying for the privilege of living in Texas, but who knew it came with a hefty price tag? For many looking for affordable living, this can be a deal breaker. And there you have it. 11 reasons people are not moving to Texas. From the fervor of football to high property taxes, there's a lot to consider before making the big move. But hey, every state has its quirks, right? If you're still thinking about relocating to Texas, just make sure to do your homework. And if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe for more, and drop a comment below with your thoughts. Would you consider moving to Texas? Let me know. Thanks for tuning in. And until next time, happy exploring.